Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Jamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Jamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarashata Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtotarashata Srimad His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Shishiguru and Shigoranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, entitled The Summon Bonan, Chapter 3, entitled The Birth of Lord Krishna, text number 39. Ajusta gramya bisajau anapatyau chadampati navabrate pagarvam me mohitao deva majaya. Ajusta gramya bisajau anapatyau chadampati navabrate pagarbham me mohitao deva majaya. Ajusta gramya bisajau anapatyo chadampati navabrate pagargamme mohitao deva majaya. Please chant. Ajusta gramya visajao. For sex life and to beget a child like me. Anapatyau, because of possessing no son. Cha, also. Dampati, both husband and wife. Na, never. Babrate, ask for any other benediction. Apavargam, liberation from this world. Me, from me. Mohitao, being so much attracted. Devamayaya, by transcendental love for me, desiring me as your beloved son. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Being husband and wife, but always sonless, you were attracted by sexual desires, for by the influence of Devamaya, transcendental love, you wanted to have me as your son. Therefore, you never desire to be liberated from this material world. Purport. Vasudeva and Devaki had been Dampati, husband and wife, since the time of Sutapa and Prishni. And they wanted to remain husband and wife in order to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their son. This attachment came about by the influence of Deva Maya. Loving Krishna as one's son is a Vedic principle. Vasudeva and Devaki never desire anything but to have the Lord as their son. Yet, for this purpose, they apparently wanted to live like ordinary grihastas for sexual indulgence. Although this was a transaction of a spiritual potency, their desire appears like attachment for sex in conjugal life. If one wants to return home back to Godhead, one must give up such desires. This is possible only when one develops intense love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Niskinchanasya Bhagavat Bhajanumukasya Bhajanomukasya Paramparangjigamishor Bhaga Bhava Sagarasya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 11.8. If one wants to go back home, back to Godhead, one must be niskinchana, free from all material desires. Therefore, instead of desiring to have the Lord come here and becomes one's son, one should desire to become free from all material desires. Anya bilashita shunyam. And go back home, back to Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us in his Shikshastaka, Nadadanna Jananda Sundaring Kavitam Bhajagad Ishakamaje Mama Jammani Jammanishware Bhavatat Bhaktir Ahaituki Tvayi. Quote, O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire a beautiful woman, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your costless devotional service, birth after birth. End of quote. One should not ask the Lord to fulfill any materially tainted desires. Ajusta gramya vishajao, anapatyao chadampati, naba bhrate pavargamme, mohitao deva majaya. Being husband and wives, but always sonless, you were attracted by sexual desires, for by the influence of Deva Maya, transcendental love. You wanted to have me as your son, therefore, you never desired to be liberated from this material world. Om Agyana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Ummilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurube Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimate Ramapada Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirveshesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasha Kripasindu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. In Prabhupada's purport, he brings up this very important principle that in one sense, we can actually, or better to say, what is the principle that we have to take from this wonderful pastime and the example of these amazing personalities like Vasudeva and Devaki, eternal associate of the Lord. So, what is the principle that we have to learn? To fully understand the position of these great personalities is not an easy task for conditioned souls like most of us. When you come to those stages of perfection of devotional service in which you can actually see the Lord face to face and interact with the Lord, and the Lord is actually inclined to appear before you and express directly to you that He is fully satisfied. He's satisfied. He's very happy, very pleased with your endeavors. And He wants to give you a blessings. Directly, face to face, appearing before you. This is a stage of perfection that is sought after by all transcendentalists, powerful transcendentalists. We hear narration of these powers of transcendentalists. And when you come to that stage, that's in the stage of perfection. However, the narration and Prabhupada's purport highlight that there is slight tinge of a motivation in the part of, in this case, Sutapa and Prishni. There is a motivation that Prabhupada described taints is the actual position of perfection, which is back home, back to Godhead. There's a slight motivation, subtle motivation. And therefore, the actual position or the actual principle that is necessary is that one have to be free from motivations. One have to be free from motivations to go back home, back to Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada quotes what is described by Srila Rupa Goswami, the definition of what is pure devotional service. Anyavilashita shunyam jnana karma nyadabritam. Anyavilashita shunyam. That in general, conditioned souls were prone to have some ulterior desires, some motivation. And the motivations naturally are of selfish nature. It's just part of conditional existence. The selfishness is there. And pure devotional service is devoid of this selfishness, this selfish motivation, and is devoid of speculation, and is devoid of fruitive desires. So, Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama. This Bhaktir Uttama is when it's exclusively for the pleasure of Krishna. Activities that are for the pleasure of Krishna. We know the famous verse of Sabai Punsam Parodharmo Yato Bhaktir Adokshaye. ahaitukiya pratiyata. This word ahaituki means without motivations. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Lord Chaitanya's Chishastaka, that also this word ahaituki is mentioned. Nadananda jananda sundarin kavitan vajagat isha kamaye mama jammani jammanishware bhaktir ahaituki twayi. That my only desire is to have devotional service that is devoid of motivations. And so even if I have Lord Chaitanya's, even if I have to take birth and birth again and again, I just want this, bhakti without motivation. So what is our motivation? That's a principle. That's something that we have to understand. What is our motivation? What is this thing that actually is so entrenched in our, condition, material condition? What motivations we have? And motivations are, they, just as we have layers of material conceptions of the self that goes from very gross to very subtle, so they equate, or they go par, how do you say, in par with our motivations. And so we have to come to understand these motivations are things that we have to eliminate. They taint, or they contaminate, in one sense, pure devotional service, or are not, the desire to serve Krishna. And sometimes we hear this, at least, when I grew up, there was this sort of principle in material education that we're given. You have to work hard. Work is almost like a religion. Work is worship. You want to be a good person, an honorable person. You work hard and honestly. So we are in this material world. Basically, we are wired or programmed to understand that we have to work to obtain something. So that's what is called fruitive work. So there is a motivation. The motivation is to have a result of what we do. And everybody moves like that. And when we come to devotional service, then that propensity is still there, the propensity for karma, for fruitive work. And Krishna explained to us that in the Bhagavad Gita, that fruitive mentality have to be eliminated. How? Well, you take the fruits and you sacrifice them. They are for the pleasure of Krishna. He says that karma dieva dikaraste, that this the napala, what is it? Karma dieva dikaraste in napaleshu. How's it go? Na karma pala heturubur. And then, yes. So that the fruits are not for us to enjoy. Who are there for enjoy? They're for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. Jagyartat karmano nyatra. He later says in that the fruits have to be offered to Lord Vishnu. If we don't offer the fruits to Lord Vishnu, then what happened? Loko jam karma bandhana. Karma bandhana means that we become entangled. We become entangled in actions and reactions. If we offer to Lord Vishnu the fruits of the work, then mukta sangha samachara. We become free from that, from the reactions. As long as we don't do that, then we continue in the cycle of birth and death. Later in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna, what is karma? And in chapter 8, and Krishna answered, karma is the actions that give you a material body. So it's a process by one obtains a material body. So whatever we have as a motivation, even if we have motivations to actually receive something, the fruit of our work, then that motivation or that fruitive mentality or whatever it is have to be placed at the lotus feet of the Lord, have to be directed at the personality of Godhead. And that is a process that is basically tailored for conditioned souls who are afflicted by these selfish motivations and desires. It is designed by the personality of Godhead like that. And therefore, we have the famous verse from the second canto, Akama, Sarva Kama, Moksha Kama, Udharati. That if you have no desires, the Akama, or if you have all desires, Sarva Kama, or you want liberation to merge into the absolute truth, to become one with the absolute truth, the impersonal liberation, moksha kama, udharati. If you have that, if you look any of those, the recommendation is tivrena bhakti yogena yayeta purusham param. That you engage with great force, with determination. Tivrena means like focused determination in the process of bhakti, devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By doing that, then once whatever motivation is there, even so, what Krishna does is that why this is such a recommendation? Because Krishna is very kind and very loving. And what he does is that whatever we bring to him, which is contaminated by material condition, by material mentality, material motivations, he takes that and converts it into pure devotional service. Krishna takes the materialistic devotee and makes it into a pure devotee. Moves her from sarva kama to akama. Provided we engage with great force or with determination, with focused determination. Provided, that's the catch. But Krishna is very kind, and throughout throughout the narrations of the Bhagavatam, we hear so many examples of devotees who have approached Krishna with desires, with motivations. And Krishna completely purifies that motivation. And it's Krishna's mood. There is a beautiful narration in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the discussions of Lord Chaitanya with Srila Sanatana Goswami, in which he reveals Krishna's thinking and how he approaches that, how Krishna deals with the motivations of his devotees. This is how Prabhupada puts it in one purport. I read it. Therefore, even for material motive, one should not worship anyone other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must fully engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that all his desires will be fulfilled. And at the end, he can go back home, back to Godhead. This is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22, text 37, 39, and 41 as follows. Anyakami, a devotee may desire something other than service to the lotus feet of the Lord. Jadi kare Krishnera bhajan. But if one engages in the Lord's service, na magiteha Krishna tare dena swacharan. Krishna give him shelter at his lotus feet, even though he does not aspire for it. Krishna kahe, the Lord says, ama bhaje, quote, he's engaged in my service. End of quote. Mage Vishaya Shuka, quote, but he wants the benefit of material sense gratification. End of quote. Amrita Chadi, Visha Mage, quote, such a devotee is like a person who asks for poison instead of nectar. End of quote. Eivada Murkha, quote, that is his foolishness. End of quote. Ami Bhikya, quote, but I am experienced. End of quote. Ei Murki Visaja Kena Diba, quote, why should I give such a foolish person the dirty things of material enjoyment? End of quote. Swacharana Mrita, quote, it would be better for me to give him shelter at my lotus feet. End of quote. Vishaya Bulaiva, quote, I should cause him to forget all material desires. End of quote. Kama lagi Krishna bhagye. If one engages in the service of the Lord for sense gratification, Paya Krishna rase. The result is that he ultimately gets a taste for serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Kama chadi dasa haite haya abilase. He then give up all material desires and want to become an eternal servant of the Lord. So, that's a beautiful and kind, loving nature of Krishna. That if we approach him, even because it is explained that in general, conditioned souls, when approached to Krishna consciousness, we come with motivations. Krishna explains that in the Bhagavad Gita. Chatur vidha bhajante man jnana sukritin arjuna arto jigyasur artarti, and then jnane cha, what is it? Jnana cha bharatarshadva. Thank you. That sukritinos, devotees come to Krishna with a motivation, either for trying to alleviate one's material distress, or one comes actually trying to achieve some wealth, or one may come just because it's inquisitiveness, want to know, I'm curious, I look for alternative things. Or one actually is looking for the absolute truth. All of these are considered motivations, and then come to Krishna consciousness, and Krishna basically gives himself in such a way that not only he fulfills the desires of the devotees, but gives himself, gives his lotus feet. And then when once they start to understand and become purified and be established in the lotus feet of the Lord, then all those material motivations becomes like broken glass. The classic example of this is Dhruva Maharaj, who approaches Lord Vishnu to obtain the greatest kingdom in this whole universe. He wanted that. And then the Lord appeared before him and fulfilled his desire. Well, actually, even before fulfilling his desire, when he appears before him and touched him with his conch shell on his forehead, then Dhruva Maharaj understood that what he was doing was foolish. He was asking for broken glass, and now he has received the most valuable jewel. So what is the use of these broken glasses? Nevertheless, the Lord fulfilled his desire and gave him the pole star that is somewhere over there. We saw in the marriage. Namrasa was telling Mukunda to point out to the pole star, so he was pointed out over there. So he gave him the pole star, which is actually like a spiritual, it's like a Vaikuntha realm within this material world, which is pretty far out. It's a realm where actually the Lord in his form as Kshirodakshai Vishnu resides. There's an ocean of milk in that realm. And then that's where Svetadvip is. So it's pretty far out. So so the Lord does that. That's his kindness. As far as ourselves, we have, by the mercy of the Lord, we're engaging in devotional service and we're becoming purified. We go into this process of purification. And it is important for us that as we go through the process of purification, we start to pay attention to the motivations that we have. And Krishna is very expert in, if we're sincere, in exposing our motivations. How do we know that that we actually been affected by that our devotional service is affected by or contaminated by our motivations?
Krishna makes the arrangement for us to understand that. What is that Krishna does to help us understand that? What are the symptoms? And one thing is that we start to lose enthusiasm, inspiration, and inspiration to do devotional service, to associate with devotees, or in general, things like that. We start to see something that is not in place. And then when the form it takes is dissatisfaction, or it may take the form of anxiety, or it may take the form of going into those, how you say, is that a roller coaster, the peaks and valleys. When we hit a valley, and in those valleys, then when you see your motivation goes down. So we have to be very, very in tune to the symptoms, because Krishna may be showing us something. So as devotees, we're guided to be introspective. When we see symptoms of dissatisfaction, when we see symptoms of lack of inspiration, then we have to go inside and see, what is Krishna telling me? What is he showing me of myself? What is this thing that is actually becoming an obstacle in my devotional service? My devotional service always should be, if we're doing everything right, then it should be full of inspiration and motivation. It should be forceful and focused. So when it's not like that, something is there that is unwanted. What is it? We have to take signs for that and introspect. What is in myself that is doing this, that is causing this? If we are afflicted by some of this condition, then we don't go internal, we go external. We start to rationalize. The reason I'm uninspired is because, we start to point out. Outside of me is because these devotees, or this, that, or that arrangement, or this, situation, and this and that. We tend to do that. We tend to go external. And we do that, we're missing the opportunity that Krishna is giving us to understand those ulterior motivations that we may have, or these things that are unwanted within the heart. But Krishna is very kind. Sometimes there's a natural timing for things. Krishna allows to have that. Most of us, we have to learn by ordeal. Most of us, because of Kali Yuga, being raised in Kali Yuga, in some of the worst place of Kali Yuga, we are already conditioned by pride and by all these things, selfishness, all these things. So it may take some time, but as long as we remain sincere, as long as we avoid Vaishnava aparat, especially, to those who are very advanced devotees, as long as we avoid that and we remain engaged, regardless, engaged in devotional service, trying hard, then we get there. Some of us it takes longer, some of us it's very quick. But we get there. Krishna is very kind. But we have to, the principle is that we have to be mindful of our motivations and try to address them by, first of all, understand, that I have to eliminate the selfish motivation and then take that whatever is there and make sure that is offered to the personality of Godhead. That is for his pleasure of Guru and Krishna, not necessarily for me. So I stop here. Any comments or questions? Anything? Sharanishta Prabhu?
I was having a thought, maybe I can share a comment, that the principle is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as the higher taste, the param drishta nivartate. So to give up that fruitive tendency that requires this intense hearing and chanting about Krishna, about getting attracted to his name, form, qualities, activities. Because I find that otherwise it's kind of a forced affair where I'm trying to give up a lower taste but not getting that higher taste. So I just wanted to, see if you want to speak on that, it's also based on that Shravanam Kirtanam as the primary engine, that when there's a natural attraction, it enriches, it nourishes that service mentality, without which that dryness can come,
Right. Well, it's the main process for purification. That's what Krishna has given us, actually, that totally can purify ourselves. But what I'm talking more or reflecting more is that that's the process of purification. Krishna is taking notice. He's approaching me, he's calling me, he's trying, he's doing service. He's my devotee. But I can see within his heart, he have blah, blah, this and this and this and that. Okay, let me purify him. Then Krishna shows us, We all go through that. We all go through, oh my God. If it goes to, oh my God, this is bad, let me pray to Krishna, like you become aware, there's something in me that no. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm sort of reflecting on, that this process of purification, and especially just to be aware to our own rationalization, and that don't allow us to be introspective, that putting the blame of our condition on something else, and that slows the purification. So it's a little dangerous too. It's a little dangerous because when we start to externalize, there's good possibility, or at least, we're exposing ourselves to the possibility of Vaishnava aparat. We sometimes see it, sometimes in ourselves, sometimes in other devotees. So we have to be mindful. That's more or less my reflection on this. It's okay? All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu. Garantarashimam Bhagavatam ki jai.